This is Tim Parlin, a man with a history of burglaries specializing in jewelry theft. He had supposedly turned his life around after a long stint in prison, but his job as a handyman became the perfect cover to resume his life of crime. On December 6, 2014, Kathy Blair's son returned home in the early hours of the morning to find his mother brutally murdered. When the police arrived, it became evident from the scene that this was a burglary gone wrong and that Blair had not gone down without a fight. Frustratingly, no clues were immediately available. 9 days later, a home nurse arrived to check on her patients, Sidney and Billie Shelton. The front door had been damaged, and when she went inside, she found the couple in their bedroom murdered. It followed the same pattern as the murder of Kathy Blair. Following tips from the neighbors, the detectives eventually set their sights on Parlin.
Okay, so like we were just talking about, you got picked up for this traffic violation, all right? So since you got brought down here against your will, before we can talk, I gotta read you your rights.
Okay.
That's just the rule of how it is, even though you're not under arrest for anything that I'm investigating.
You didn't read me my rights the other day.
Well, that's because you weren't under arrest.
Okay.
So now you've been arrested for this traffic violation, so it changes things. That's the difference.
Well, we hope that that's going to get fixed pretty quickly, because that is not how.
Okay, we can discuss all that. So you have the right to remain silent and not make any statement at all. And any statement you make may be used against you and probably will be used against you at your trial. You understand that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you've had all this.
Oh, yes.
So, any statement you make may be used as evidence against you in court. You understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to have a lawyer present to advise you prior to and during any questioning. Understand?
Okay.
If you're unable to employ a lawyer, you have the right to have a lawyer appointed to advise you prior to and during any questioning.
Okay.
And you have the right to terminate this interview at any time.
Okay.
Understand that?
Okay.
So, any questions about any of those?
No.
Basically, you're in charge. Okay, you talk as long as you want to, and then.
Well, I need to know, why come you didn't just let me know that you thought I could maybe help somehow?
Well, here's the thing. We went over to talk to your wife because we hadn't had a chance to talk to her before.
Okay.
And so we caught her there. It was just she was there. And
Yeah, we had just got back from lunch.
Oh, okay. So we talked to her, and she gave us consent to search in the
Right.
apartment.
We're always going to cooperate
Right,
with
sure.
you. Sure.
And and you have been really cooperative, with the van and everything like that. So
and I would hope she's the same way. So she.
Oh yeah, she was totally cooperative, very, very helpful with us and everything. So
Was there something that you were looking for in there?
This is the first of several occasions where Parlin tries to fish for information to determine what evidence they have against him.
well, yeah, you understand that we're looking at what we're investigating, right? We talked to you about it the other day.
Really.
We're investigating a murder that
Yeah,
happened.
I don't know anything about it. I don't really understand what you're messing with me for about
Sure.
it. But
Well, like we kind of explained the other day, is that we went to talk to everybody who
right.
had anything to do with her, and that
Yeah, I
includes
never knew her. So
gardeners and people who did work on her house, and her landlord, and her ex-husband, and every other kind of person you could think of that we might
Right.
talk to, and we
well,
just
yeah,
worked
that
our
would
way.
make sense.
And we worked our way down the list till we got to you. Okay, so that's why we made contact that first time stuff. So I went to follow up on that as well, because when we talked the first time, your wife was not feeling well. She was asleep and everything. And,
Yeah, she
and you
was.
asked us not to bother, so we didn't bother.
She
so.
works chaotic hours.
Yeah,
she
so-
works 4 in the morning until in the afternoon.
Right.
So that kind of schedule, she doesn't get the proper. Well, she's to get up at 3 in the morning. So usually she'll nap in the afternoon.
Right.
If she, she feels up to it, we'll do a little something. So today we had lunch, and then I presume she probably was asleep. Whatever y'all.
Yeah, I don't know. She didn't say. I think she was changing clothes or something like that. Maybe
Okay.
by the time we got there. So of course we went in and checked the place. So there's a few things I'm I'm concerned about. Maybe you can kind of help me out.
Yeah, if you tell me what they are, I'll
So
gladly help
one
you.
thing, there's a lot of women's jewelry there. So tell me about why there's a lot.
Was
of
it in
women's
a
jewelry.
book? Inside a book?
That's one place. Yeah.
Okay, well, I only have a couple of jewelry pieces. I'm wearing one, and I have an alternate that I wear that's a Mother Teresa
Right.
medallion. I wear sometimes, not very often.
Right.
I just like Mother Teresa. She was a good person, and she tried to always do for others.
Sure.
So I like to sometimes, I actually got that from a vendor, for a fair price.
You got what?
The Mother of Teresa medallion.
Oh, the Mother Teresa, the one you're wearing, you mean?
No, it was in the
Oh, it was in the thing. Okay.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of that you would have found is a Bible, or it's actually a book. But when you open it, it's not a book. It's a container.
Right.
And it's just junk stuff that I let the kiddos randomly play with or pick through.
Right.
And it's very old. There's nothing, like I would gladly let you do whatever you got to do with it.
So how did you come across that stuff?
I have collected it for a long time. When I was in 1993, they had stuff here they had to give back to me. They did whatever they wanted to do with it. I've always been a little collector of coins or stones or little junkyard garage sale stuff.
Parlin is hardly an innocent collector with magpie tastes. He has a long history of jewelry theft.
Right.
If you can get it for 50 cents or $1 or $2, the kiddos will play with it if nothing else. I've got 4 grandbabies.
Right.
And then sometimes for a birthday, if you don't have, if you can't afford a good birthday present, then you can give them something out of the junk box. That's just a junk box is all it is.
Mm-hmm. I want you've gotten on our radar. I want to get you off our radar as quickly as I possibly can.
I don't understand.
But I'm going to be straight up forward with you because I try to be as straightforward with people.
We should always be that way. That's the best way.
So, and that is that you're someone that we're definitely looking at in association with this murder that occurred. Okay.
You actually think that I did a murder?
Well, I'm not saying that you did a murder. What I'm saying is, you're someone we definitely have to look at, and we have to do everything we can to try to get you off. So this is where it's real important. Okay, so you have some association with her, and you may not remember it. Okay, with Kathy Blair. Okay?
I don't think I ever met her. I don't think I ever saw her.
Do you know anyone else who's been murdered?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No, I mean, you're the first enlightenment of anything at all, and you didn't do anything but just briefly mention her name. And the only thing I was trying to do was I was trying to put together my records because they got one of my briefcases when they stole the van.
Mm-hmm.
And it had I usually have a notepad of some type.
Right. And
several pens, and I keep notes as to what day I worked, what work I performed, who owes me for the work, like that. Phone number to contact, who it is, what do they want done. And that information may be in some of the paperwork that y'all probably found in the room.
Yeah, I found another briefcase, and I didn't see any paperwork.
I think that's an older one. That's very old. Was it like a Samsonite one, like a real old school? Yeah, that has legal stuff in it. And
so, one thing that we did was, and we had talked about how this murder that we're investigating,
right,
okay, is a murder that happened on the 5th, okay, the 5th or the 6th, okay, so the night of. So we talked about maybe what you might have been doing, or if you had been working, and you said you thought maybe you may have been working that day. So,
or I was with my wife, right, one or the other.
So we went to your work.
I think I was still employed there at that time.
Yeah, and you weren't employed, and you weren't working during that week. So
did he say what day it was he actually let me go from there?
Yeah,
I think I was on the
last
schedule.
day you worked there. was, let me see.
I know I was there Thanksgiving Day for sure.
12/2.
The detectives have already tracked Parlin's movements during the days leading up to and after the murder to rule out any potential alibi.
12/2.
12/2. And that would have been a...
that would have been the end of that week's schedule right there.
that would have been a Saturday or a Sunday, 12/2.
Yeah, probably.
And this day that this thing happened is on a what day? On the 5th, and what day of
5th?
the
5th
week?
is a Friday. 5th and 6th.
Oh, so it would have been on a
That's
Friday.
Saturday. Friday night, Saturday morning.
Oh, golly. She usually works early. We usually go to bed early,
Right.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. She's usually 8. When she goes in at 3:30, 4 in the morning, usually we're in bed by 8 o'clock. Or, you know, around, I think what we do is we put on wrestling or whatever show it is that she wants to watch, Criminal Minds or whatever, we fall asleep to that.
Right. So, tell me your cell phone number again. And we found another cell phone inside the house.
It's one of those Obama phones. It's one of those.
Okay, it's about. Do you know what the phone number is for that?
Yeah, I do. I never use it hardly.
Okay.
Because of the work, not being able to predict a whole month of our finance in advance, we pay our room, which is $300 a week, and we weren't sure if we could both keep phones.
Right.
So I got that phone approximately, I don't know, one got stolen when the van got stolen. I had one in there. So I just called them up, and it's a give me
Transfer
phone.
the phone number.
Yeah, it's one of those they give it to you and give you 200 minutes a month.
Cricket
and,
phone.
it's free. It's a free phone
Oh,
from
the
government.
Obama phone one.
Yeah, it's a free phone. Now my Cricket, we're just not sure how long we're going to be able to keep it because of the bill for it.
Right.
You know, we can't afford it.
Right.
And hers is a little higher because she has all the apps and everything on there, the internet or whatever. Her bill's more expensive.
Right.
And we just, matter of fact, today actually just stopped in there after lunch to get, you have to renew, if you have Cricket, you have to get it changed over by January 1.
Right.
I think they call it migrating, something like that. So we had the old phones, and so we had to get them turned over to new phones, and we just did that today. I don't think there's anything I can think of about this thing that you're looking at in question. I just can't. I mean, I was willing to let
me ask you this. I mean, because I'll ask you some specific things.
do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. So one of the things, and we talked about the jewelry and stuff. So
It's
I
all,
noticed,
yeah.
I noticed you pawn a lot of jewelry as well. So where does that come
Not
from?
a lot, just a little bit. What I do is, and she's actually been with me several times, I stop at garage sales and I'll get silver or gold broken. And I save a little bit of it until I have them, you know, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $80 worth, and then I'll actually sell it, not pawn it.
Mm-hmm.
I buy it and sell it. But not very often, not all the time, is because people are in a crunch for money. There's not a lot of it available. So, I mean, like I have a coin, if you'll look at my wallet, they took it. I have a coin that I bought. It's a 1895, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I like I dabble in trinketry, is what I call it. Trinkets, just dabble in it. I don't have no secular interest to have a lot of it or anything like that. I just sometimes, if it comes available and I could afford it and I could make money off of it, I would get it.
Sure. So one thing as part of our investigation that we're going to do, all of the jewelry we found there.
It's all junk. It's all garage sale
we seized the
stuff.
jewelry, and we're going to do some investigation on it. But once the investigation's done, we'll get that stuff back to you.
Okay, now what about the knives y'all already took?
It's all part of the investigation.
Are they ruled out already? Or
no, all this stuff takes a while. The stuff that we do, it takes a while. So we have to. It takes us.
Yeah, because that was
unfortunately nothing is really fast, and that's part of what the deal is that we are. Sometimes we're waiting on information to come. We can't just wait for stuff to come. That's why we have to continue our investigation. So tomorrow a break may come that breaks the case wide open.
And get me off the radar or whatever you're saying. Okay.
Or put you more firmly on it. It depends on the situation,
well,
right?
I know that I don't have anything to do with it.
So but I'm just saying but so in the meantime we have to do that. So sometimes, you know, I ask questions. Sometimes I ask questions I know the answer. Sometimes I ask questions I have no idea, but I get the answer later from a separate source or something like that. So one of the things that we do and are going to do is
like
all the stuff
today.
that we pawned. Yeah, all the stuff that we pawned is that we're gonna take that stuff and we're gonna check it for DNA. And we're gonna make sure that it doesn't have any. Obviously, we know it's gonna have your stuff on it. But we have we have a reference sample from you. That's why we got it. And make sure that there's nothing from any of our victims that's on there. Okay.
Right.
The main thing I'm concerned about is this. Is murder. Okay. I don't really investigate all that other stuff. Okay.
This is
yeah, that's for you. Yeah, that's water. So here's the thing, and I'm kind of glad that I'm talking to you because you're kind of more of a what I would say, kind of more of an experienced type of person. You know, you've been around the system. You know.
Yeah, I've been handled roughly.
So
I've never been treated fairly by the system in any fashion. Even when I chose to do 15 years on a cockamamie story, that if you go back and look at the story yourself, okay, which I'm sure you can do because I'm sure there's a report of it. If you go back and look at for yourself, you will see that it's a cockamamie thing.
The 93 case.
Yeah, and I did the time for it.
Sure.
And the whole time I learned and studied how can I keep myself away from this kind of stuff.
Right.
And just because of my situation with work, I've been working at 7-Elevens. Unbelittled to me, I'm highly more skilled than that.
Right.
But I would rather do that than to go any other route.
Right.
You know, I can barely make a paltry living.
But here's the point I want to make to you, and I think you'll understand this because you've probably seen guys do the same thing. And that is, so, like when I go in and I'm investigating something, I'm investigating murder. I really don't care about all the other stuff, you know what I mean? But if it comes up, it comes up, and if people are lying to me, then then I'm gonna use it against them however I need to.
Right.
If I need to do it for my investigation, that's what I'm gonna do. So I always make sure I tell people, hey, listen, I'm investigating a murder. Okay,
which takes precedence over anything smaller.
If you're trying to worm your way out of theft or something like that, something minor, in order to avoid a theft, you might just get yourself into a situation where you get hemmed up on a murder. And that's what we don't want to have happen. So it's very important. I'm not trying to hem you up. It might seem like I am. I'm not. I'm just the opposite. The quicker I can get you off the radar, the better it is for me, because then
does my wife understand your side?
Yes. Yeah. We explain all of this to her.
You know. Okay.
So, but
yeah, because I don't know anything about murder.
Okay. So. I know
a little bit about some other things, but not that.
Yeah. So let me ask this, because this is the key thing, and this is something that might have happened, is that did anyone give you anything to pawn or give you anything that now looking back on it went, well, man, I don't want to have that one held over my head, because now that the cops are looking at it. You know, because sometimes people who don't have a clean record will get somebody else who can pawn stuff, aren't red flagged and stuff, to pawn stuff. So that'd be important for me to know, because I don't want you to get hemmed up over.
This was December the 6th, and this is December the 30th. Let me think a second.
This month.
Parlin keeps up his front as a helpful citizen throughout the case. His responses are calm and calculated, fitting with his personality profile as a master manipulator.
No, because I did have a gold nugget, just a nugget, one of those, it looks like a nugget.
Right.
I did have that, and I actually pawned it, but it's just a nugget. It has no...
Is that the only thing you pawned this month?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
And where did you get that nugget from?
I've had it for about a year.
Do you remember where you got it from originally?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think now that you brought that up, because
Right.
that's something I do a little bit of, not much of.
Mhm.
You know, and I think the ticket was in the room for it.
Okay.
You know, I think y'all might have. It's
Well, whether we had the ticket or not, I didn't
Yeah.
do the whole search myself. So whether we had the ticket or not,
Can you
we'll check
tell
your
me?
pawn history.
Can I
and we'll
know
check.
what all you took from there?
Yeah, we can let you know what was taken.
Yeah,
But
because I
you
don't
can
think
bet
there
that
was-
any jewelry that was there was taken.
Yeah, I
And
don't think anything was bad in there.
right.
My wife wouldn't stand for it, and I really wouldn't either. You know, it'd bother me. I wouldn't like to have it around if it's something I can't, explain.
Well,
or
was your
know
wife
where I
aware
got.
that you had all that stuff in there?
The definite, yeah. Well, okay. That's when you're saying all that stuff. The only thing I know about that's even was in there is the book container.
Okay. But
Okay.
did she know that?
And I had a couple of other pieces in a basket on the table with the microwave.
Right.
And it's just that Mother Teresa, and I think it's just a couple of little hoops that you hook a medallion with, like if you were going to hook one onto a chain. And I do that, just tinkering with it. I have a couple of little pliers that I use, and I tinker with that. I tinker with jewelry or stones. I like to tinker with it, or watches. I can fix a broken one. I can fix anything, actually,
So that golden nugget thing, you said that you pawned this month. And you said you had it about a year. Do you remember?
I don't remember if it was this month or I thought it was before Thanksgiving.
Was that the last thing you pawned?
Yeah, that's the last thing I've dealt
Do you
with.
remember
in a
where
while.
you got it at?
I'm trying to think of where. It's been about a year since I got that.
The necklace belonged to Kathy Blair. Since she usually lived alone, Parlin may have believed that no one would be able to identify her jewelry.
Because if I tell you the truth, it's going to hurt. You see, if I tell you that what I used to buy it with, you're going to think I'm a bad person, but I'm not.
What did you use to buy it with?
I used some
to
trade for it to buy it.
Okay.
Honestly.
Right.
And I got it about. I think I was living still at Marcel, so it would have been. This is 2014. It would have been like when I got it. Would have been like 2012.
Right.
So I've had it for a couple of years. I used to wear it, actually.
Oh, okay.
And then I decided we needed the money because the room's expensive.
Right.
And I decided to actually I don't have much interest anymore in it. When I was working, had a few extra bucks, I could afford to buy something for $15 and sell it for $25.
Right.
The $25 would help pay a bill.
So how much did this nugget did you?
It's only worth about $100. It's just 4 or 5 grams, 6 grams is nothing. It's not nothing serious. It's just one little nugget that hangs on a chain.
Right.
It's the only thing I can think of.
Okay.
I'm trying to think a minute, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Like, if I had my wallet in there, I could show you. I get the broken. Ladies' gold chains or men's gold chains are different. Men's are thick like this, and it weighs a lot. It's heavy.
Right.
They have little bitty thread size ones that are ladies, and they don't weigh nothing. You could have 3 or 4 of them, and it might only be 1 or 2 grams of gold.
Right.
So it's only worth like $50. People don't even check because they're so small to see if they are real or not. I will actually go to Gruss's, which they don't have them right now. It's too cold. But up until like the 10th month, the 11th, up until right before Thanksgiving, they'll still have them, especially in the area where we are. And we were visiting my brother one day, and we stopped, and I got a handful of silver for like $6, which was worth like $30, because it's $15, $16, $18 an ounce.
Right.
And I got it, and she was actually with me, and we actually bought it. Had a yard sale, somebody moving out. Got it. But that's been, like in the summer. So it's nothing I can think of related anything to what you're looking for. The only thing I could even remotely think of is the day that you came by, and I told you, I said, hey, I'm going to remember to look through to see do I have any names or the list of the day when I worked at that residence, which was back in the summer, I believe it was, or spring or summer. It might have been summer. It's been 6 months or so, or maybe 4, 5, 6 months. I don't remember exactly when it was. But I did, at that time, I always do that, is I take notes of who it is that called me, what do they need. Yeah, okay. I don't think there's anything. I mean, I've tried to think since the other day, and I tried to think when y'all were there. I just don't think there. I mean, anything I know or anything I could.
Oh, something that did come up while we were there at the house. So I do want to ask you about this. So while I was searching, you have a gray fleece jacket that hangs on the door there.
Yeah, it's been there
for jacket.
It's been there for a minute. Yeah,
so,
it's been there for a minute.
Anyway, in the pocket of that jacket, there's a bunch. So it's my job to to just find out about this, and so I'm asking. You're giving me an explanation.
That's and actually, I don't need an issue. That's what I'm saying. I don't need any kind of an issue with law enforcement. I'm trying to do everything I can.
I get it. We're trying to do everything we can. And that's why we're here. Okay, So
I didn't like this actual method, but I understand. You have to do what you have to do.
That people
all you have to do is just tell me, hey, I want to search the place, and I'm like, come on, I'll stay right here until you get here.
So what are your thoughts? Let's talk about Tamarack a little bit more. So, do you remember? I guess you met the woman, but that was about it.
It was so vague, I wouldn't even.
So it didn't ring a bell when there was news reports about a murder over there.
I didn't ever see them or know of them, as far as I know. Did y'all publicize it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I didn't ever know. We read the paper. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you saw that. We get the Sunday paper, and we also get holiday papers.
Right.
Okay. She's just astute about that. And I don't think we read about it.
So let me just ask you a question. Do you know anyone else who's been murdered this month? Shouldn't be a hard question.
Who's been murdered? You mean
this month?
Yeah, somebody. She went to some funeral and a church thing for something.
The victims were an elderly couple, Billie and Sidney Shelton. They were beaten and strangled, and Billie was stabbed several times in the face and eye. The knife was still in her body when they were discovered.
Who did?
My wife did. She actually, I couldn't go. I was actually working. Somebody from our church. I didn't know them, but they're from our church.
Did your wife know them?
I think so. I think she did, or she knew maybe from the church knew them. Our church is real old. There are a lot of older people there, and hey, you let me throw a leak again?
Yeah, sure.
I'm in bad shape right here.
Hey, can you hold on one second? I'm gonna have an officer walk over there because I want to talk to someone.
Okay, that was much better.
Sure, we were talking about these people from the church.
I don't know anything about it. She just told me something about it from the paper. She would know more than I would. She brought me the thing from the church.
And so what did she say? What did she say?
She just said she knew them. Yeah. She knew them from the church. You got to understand, the church is really weird. I go there, and I set up all the tables. And then, like, right after we have the dinner or the whatever function we're having, they break down the tables, and they're all old. So I do it, okay? And then there's one or two other guys that help do it, and they're actually pretty old, and they shouldn't be doing it, but I do it. So basically, I don't get involved in the church stuff for the people. I'm kind of busy either in the kitchen or doing the tables or whatever. I'm just kind of there. We got married there in the church. And so we're not like very active members of the church, but we go there some. It's been a while since we've went, though, about a year or so. They just have functions sometimes they'll invite us for.
So what did your wife tell you had happened to these people?
I don't think she knew us other than just whatever the paper said. She read about it. The only thing I remember is we were laying there, and she read something in the paper about it, and then she looked at me, and she had a couple of tears in her eyes. So I said, "What's wrong, baby?" And she said that she knew those people.
Oh,
okay. So, or maybe not knew in the sense of like first name basis or whatever, but knew them from the church. Knew that they were members of the same church. And then, like, a lot of the people don't go very much because their health and they're old, you know, so they don't go a whole lot. So you wouldn't see them. Like, I used to go to Bible study Sunday mornings at 9:30, and just Bible study, but there's a service after, and there's a service, you know, a breakfast or a lunch or whatever, and I didn't go to none
So
of
you
that.
never met these people? If I told you what their names were,
Yeah, I never.
their name was Shelton, you never met them?
I only just knew because my wife had told me about it, you know, and she brought me the thing that they give you when you're there, when you go to the thing. So
you didn't go to the funeral?
No, I was busy working. I think she asked me or told me she was going to try to go, and then her schedule was like she just barely got off from work in time to go or something like that. I don't remember. I just vaguely remember it. I don't, you know, I was kind of like the day when you ran into me as to why you found the stuff in the gray fleece jacket. Okay.
So let me ask you, actually, we're talking about stuff from the apartment. So
that's the only thing I can think
there
of.
was in a backpack. You have a backpack, and there was some jewelry in that backpack as well, including some in a box.
Just like the crime scene for Kathy Blair, there was a jewelry case that had been emptied at the home of the Sheltons.
Oh, yeah, that's actually, it was bought. It's actually a blue and purple stone, silver ring, something like that. It's in a case, and it was actually bought. And that should have been, I think there's only a watch or two that couple of old watches. I used to wear them all the time like you do, but I don't anymore. And
so there were a lot of jewelry bags in there, like, you know, like the bags that you buy jewelry in, that sort of thing.
Little velvet bags or little plastic bags.
Right.
Yeah, I keep a few of those around for that. I actually have things in them. You know, like usually I'll put it up. If it's not junk for the kids to play with, I put it up. I put it away.
Right.
And it would be inside one of the bags. There's nothing stolen
so tell me about
nothing related to a murder or anything in there.
Right. So tell me about this box that has a ring in it.
It has a purple and a blue stone in it, and it has some. It's all. It's a brand new box.
Where did you get it?
It came from Christmas. It was meant to be a gift, and they decided against giving it for Christmas.
Who did?
Actually, my sister, and she'll know about it if you care to ask her.
What's her name?
Her name is. In other words, it's nothing. You know.
So she had originally bought it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. You know. Other than it was supposed to go to someone and it didn't go to somebody around Christmas.
Well, you got it from her.
Yeah, I got it from
Okay, and what's the phone number?
It bugs me a little bit. When I stepped out of my van, they didn't have weapons drawn on me, but they said I was not under arrest. Okay, I asked you, am I under arrest?
Well, I think at that moment they were detaining you, so they hadn't really made a decision at that point.
And well, I always want to know.
Sure,
I always want to know what is going on. I try to be alert to that.
Well, and I'm trying to keep you up to date on what's going on. And one thing that's going on for sure is that we're conducting a murder investigation. Here's an interesting thing. Okay, so as we discussed, okay. Are
you liking me for this thing, or are you liking to try to, make sure that I'm not liked for this thing?
Here's the deal, okay? Here's
the
deal. This is what I want, and this is not I'm not trying to be pat, okay? What I'm trying to do is, if you did it, I want to get the proof on you. If you didn't do it, I want to get you out of the way as soon as I possibly can.
Yeah, I want to do the same thing.
So, and here's what I'm running
I didn't do it.
Okay, I get it. Here's what I'm running into, okay? So.
You're looking for anything little.
You got there, but here's the thing too, okay? And something we just discussed, and that is that. So you have Kathy Blair over on Tamarack, right? You were over at her house.
Well, I heard you say
right.
the name, but I didn't. She didn't contract me or anything. I wouldn't even know her.
Here's the deal too, okay? Weird coincidence. The Sheltons, you also have a connection to the Sheltons too.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I didn't know them or anything.
You go to the same church,
but you
right?
got to understand
and your wife knows them pretty well enough. That
she knew them, but I didn't. They're separate.
And just to be on the safe side, you never been in their house, right?
Never been in their house
because she did.
Never been in their house.
Your wife did massage and stuff like that over for them at their house.
She had said something about she knew them.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would.
So you never went in.
No, I didn't have nothing.
I just want to make sure, because that's again when we're talking about just making sure that if we see something, we have an explanation. You know, it's like I ask you everything that we've done, everything I've seen that concerns me. I ask you, and you give me an explanation. Okay, like
I
found
want to
pills,
make sure.
I ask you, you give me an explanation.
I want to make sure
I
that
found
everything.
Jewelry, I ask you, you give me an explanation. And that's what I'm looking for. So when I'm asking you stuff,
I want to make sure we can put it all on the table
for
here.
explanation.
You know,
okay, and I'm not trying to BS you. I'm not trying to do it, but it is just kind of weird that
I thought y'all were looking for
you just
knives.
you happen to know people that were
well, duh.
3 people have been murdered this month. Okay,
how many people?
Well, 3. There was the Sheltons were murdered, and Kathy Blair was murdered.
The Sheltons, more than one.
Yes.
In his effort to distance himself from the murders, Parlin makes a misstep. His wife supposedly told him about the murders from a newspaper article, so he would have known that both had been murdered. In fact, previously in the investigation, he has referred to them as they each time their deaths were brought up.
She had just said it was the lady.
Well, maybe she just knew the lady.
Yeah, maybe that's what she meant. Yeah.
So that's a weird coincidence. It doesn't mean that you did it. Okay?
Yeah, well, I definitely
so that's a weird
didn't.
coincidence. All right,
I mean,
doesn't even mean that
we can do whatever it takes.
That it just means that we got 2 unsolved cases. Okay, and you're kind of a link between those 2 unsolved cases. So that's what makes this so weird. So now you kind of understand what I'm looking at. I'm like, that's weird.
That's weird.
Right? So I got to look at you. I got to, because when I find the right guy, they're going to say, why didn't you look at this guy? You were obviously focused on my guy and not on this. So I got to do it. I got to look at you.
Is there anything that I should do or can do that you can advise me of that I should,
Well, if you can help us.
Yeah.
Like one thing I want to try to figure out, and I don't know, maybe you don't remember, but are you, and the biggest thing, I mean, I'll just tell you this, and the answer to that question right there is to tell the truth. I mean, 100% tell the truth. And listen, I know you're saying it always, but listen, I've also been a cop for over 20 years, so I know that people lie to the cops. Okay, it's just normal.
Well, I'm not interested.
Even my friends lie to me because I'm a cop. It just happens. Okay, especially a guy who's been around the block a few times. Okay?
I put it straight up with you. I put it straight up front.
And I don't hold that against you. Yeah. Okay, but in this case, it is super, super important that I get just the truth, even if it's bad, even if it makes you look bad. I'm not worried about that. I'm honestly not worried about you looking bad. I'm just worried about getting the truth.
Okay, now
I know you told me some stuff already. Yeah,
you can follow the record. Check it out.
Right.
When they found me asleep, they found a little bit of weed.
Right.
They piss tested me, and my piss was clean.
Right.
They're asking me, well, why did we find weed?
Right.
Because it has a more powerful dollar component. Okay.
Buy other stuff.
Well, no, it's just the dollar's only worth $1.
Right.
But with this, you can actually use it for something that you could buy that would gain you more of $1.
Right.
You see, that's why they
found
a little bit.
A unit of exchange.
Yeah, that's exactly why they found it. Right. And so then it actually came up, that my PO comes over there, and I had to tell her the truth too. And it didn't look good on me. I told her the truth. And I did 90 days in jail and was released. But if you look at those records, that would tell you, that's why he had a little bit of weakness. I'll tell you the truth.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I mean, that's all little stuff.
Yeah,
so the big stuff is the big stuff. Okay, so here's another.
I might know a few little things, but I don't know any big.
There's another big things through a variety of ways.
I don't know any big
and through a variety of ways, and I can't get into all of them. You can probably imagine a few of them, but through a variety of ways, we can kind of figure out where people are at a lot of times. Okay. And
I'm an old man. I'm a nickel and dime.
So the important thing is we need to know on that night that the murder happened on Tamarack, was the 5th and 6th. Would you have been over there for any reason at all?
Hell no. No.
The night the Sheltons were killed, and that was
I just vaguely. I vaguely remember her reading about it in the paper to me.
So let me tell you the date on that. That was the 15th.
15th.
Okay.
Would
So
I
it could have happened the 14th.
Would I have been in that neighborhood? Is that what you're asking me? No.
Now that's, you know what neighborhood it is?
I think so. She had said right close by the church area.
Okay.
So that's just.
You know
that's
what street they lived on?
I think she said. It can't be that many because there's. The church is on Woodrow, and she said that they lived close by the church, so it's in between Koenig and probably Anderson.
Does Brentwood ring a bell?
Yeah, it does actually. Brentwood does, because that's where I actually lived.
So you lived on Brentwood.
In 07.
Yeah.
In 07.
But I also saw that you were trying to rent a place on Brentwood.
Yeah, I was trying to rent one there, but it didn't come through. I called the man several times and didn't come through.
So this is some of the stuff. I mean, this is, again, it's coincidence
you don't
stuff.
boop where you live.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, you don't.
Some people do,
you don't.
So we'd be dumb not to talk to you, and
but when you talk to me, you talk to me once.
Right.
Okay. The procedure or the methodry in which you're talking to me the second time is probably what I would not have, expected from you. I would just have expected you to somehow or another approach me the way you did the day that I met you, or any other time. You could notify me that you need to speak with me or whatever, or anything.
Right.
And I would have gladly obliged.
Well, there are a lot of different ways that we could have done this.
Well, the methodry was a little.
Yeah. So
my girls held this.
I take responsibility for the method, but there are other methods more harsh that I could have used.
Yeah, when you're
done to your parole officer, or done a variety of different things.
She's
like
already
that.
called me to change the appointment. My appointment was on the 12th.
Right.
And she changed it to the 6th. I don't know why. She just called me and said that. So, and she asked me if that was okay, and I said, of course. As long as I know what I'm supposed to be doing, then I can do it.
Right. So so getting back to the Brentwood thing, I mean, because I think it's important that I at least ask and try to find out. Obviously there's there's some connection there. You go to the same church with the people, live on the same street. So,
but it's
trying to
way
figure out,
the heck on the
the other side. Yeah,
I wouldn't have known anything.
Right.
I'm trying to transpute it just in my head, and it's not.
But as you see, there's a lot of coincidences that are going on. So that's what. And in my line of work, coincidences kind of set off the alarm bell. So we have to look at those.
You can rule them out, though.
We can, but it takes a lot of work.
Rule them out or rule them in.
This is the process that we use to rule it out.
I'm sorry, because this process is kind of not.
So on the 15th, do you have any recollection of what you might have been doing on the 15th?
Oh yeah, we do that every night. We sleep together every night. Right. I mean, she works 4 to 12, so
right.
Unless I go do laundry, and that only takes about an hour. Sometimes she'll go to bed at 8, and I'll go do laundry and get home at 10. Because I'll leave right when she's going to bed, and I'll be back in bed, and then as soon as I get in bed, she wakes up. She knows I'm there.
So I sleep with her
every night.
This month, there wouldn't be any situation where she said, well, I got home from work and he was gone, or he came home, or he left, sometime during the night, unexpectedly, nothing like that.
No, I sleep with her every night. And then most of the time, if she wants to take it, I make her breakfast in the morning on the way to work.
Right.
I usually make her either a sandwich and grapes, or cucumbers, or I make her healthy stuff.
Right.
And I make her lunch. If she wants to take it, I make it. She doesn't eat cereal, but when she comes home, she'll eat cereal. Yeah, I do. I've been doing that. I'm a good husband. I take care of her. I cook for her every day, and I make her lunches, and I do her nails, all the above. I'm with her all the time, in other words. Yeah, I'm believe it or not, I think I'm learning. I didn't ever think I would be, but she thinks I am.
So over the last month, just to be clear, so that I'm 100% clear, we wouldn't find any record of you being anywhere out at night.
No, yeah, not late
So
at
you're
night.
always
No.
you're always
Yeah, well, 10ish. You know, it's the latest.
sure
You know,
by 10. So after
I don't even
after
hardly.
10 or so.
Yeah, after 10 or so, we're in bed.
Parlin has been careful to set up a lifestyle that places him in his home at night, mainly because that is when all of his earlier robberies have taken place. As long as he is careful not to go anywhere with security cameras, it would be easy for him to sneak out of the house once his wife was asleep.
You know, for sure. You know, unless I just step out the door to smoke a cigarette, because she doesn't smoke. So, and I was curious. I need one badly, but I have some with me in my stuff. I would step out, I don't even close the door or lock it because it makes noise. I just step out right there in front of the door, and hotel people will be able to tell you that I step out there and smoke, and they'll come by, especially the old lady. She's real cool. And she'll talk with me a second as she's passing by. And it's just long enough to smoke a cigarette, and I go right back in. You know, if I wake up in the middle of the night, I may smoke a cigarette and then go right back to bed, or get a cup of tea and go back to bed.
Right.
You know, we have a common normal.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and I should tell
schedule.
you, because this is, you know, I try to tell people this every time, you know, when we sit down in this type of investigation, because of the seriousness of it.
Right.
Every single thing that you tell me, we're going to check. Okay.
Yeah, it
and
matters.
And I think you would expect that.
Yeah, it matters. Yeah.
That's your tax money at work, so to speak. So he.
It ain't been at work on one issue. You remember that issue I asked you about?
Special interest was given to the knives in an effort to determine if they were the weapons used in the murders. The knives found in the van were not a match.
Yes, and I'll send a message over to you.
You said you were going to do it. I hope you had done it already.
No, I hadn't, so I apologize for that. But Friday, right after we got done on Friday, I had to go to another call, and today is the first day I've been back.
I have a curiosity question. You took 4 knives out of my van. I allowed you to take them.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't that be on the expediency list? You know, because I allowed you to do it.
Sure.
You see, I mean, of free will, voluntarily.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, everything is. We can only be as expedient as our scientists will allow us to.
Well, I know that those were,
right.
You know, they were sitting in Southside Impound, so I know that those are all.
Right.
He had to dig to find those. You know?
Right.
And like I said, the van is very seldom ever leaves. You know, it's not even in the best of condition.
Right.
Just today, I had a jack with the brakes. That's actually on the side of the road when I was calling her to let her know, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. The brakes are acting up and the brake light is on.
Right.
You know, and there's a bolt missing out of the brakes. So I had to try to get the one to go. I had an extra one. I had to try to get it to go back in.
So, so these 2 phones that you have.
I never hardly use the other one. You can check its records or whatever. It just sits there just in case. Yeah, I never hardly use it.
So the other one, 803-4012.
It's my cell. It's in my
no, and
stuff.
you don't lend that to anybody. That's
no, hell no. Hell no.
So, and one of the things we do is we look at, you know, as you may be aware, those cellular phones, they ping on different towers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we can use those towers to triangulate the location of a phone at any given time. It's kind of Big Brotherish, but it's very helpful to our investigations.
Oh, you're more than...
So, and we've already started that process. So one of the things that... So that's why I ask you, you know, things.
Yeah, my phone.
And so I just want to make sure that we're clear that you will...
cooperate in any way.
No. That you haven't been going out at night at all this month. I mean, we're not going to find you at 2 o'clock in the morning out in some other part of town away from your house.
Yeah, no. I'm with my wife every night.
Okay, and so we're not going to find you over on Tamarack, or over there by Brentwood on nights of those murders.
Yeah, most definitely not. Okay.
So your brother is a deacon over there. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he does, but yeah.
Did you discuss at all the murders with him?
No, I did not.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, he knows better, you know, so he wouldn't even...
So he doesn't mention, I mean, it's kind of an important thing that happened.
No, I think he just let my wife know when the service was going on or something or whatever. Right. And I may have translated a message about that. I think he said something to me about when the service was going to be or something like that.
So we had discussed earlier, one of the things that you had asked me is, what can you do to help?
Yeah, because I told you I would look, and I never got the chance, but I would like to look.
So that's one thing that can help us. We could figure out who you might have been with in there. But
I should have some notes about it somewhere. Yeah.
There's another thing that we do is an investigative tool we use in cases like this where we're just trying to eliminate people as possible suspects. And
well, I did that already.
Right, and that is a polygraph.
Oh, yeah, I could do that too. Yeah. So if you want me to, I will. But I thought I was doing that when I did the DNA.
No, DNA is for so people leave traces of DNA behind. Like it could be in your hair, it could be in your skin. You could sneeze and blow it out. And people kind of tend to leave it all around. And even when they wear gloves and get fingerprints or something like that, a lot of time we'll get DNA because.
Yeah.
The most unusual detail about this case is that no evidence was found at either crime scene, in spite of the amount of blood and the obvious struggles put up by the victims, particularly Blair.
They breathed on something, or they coughed on something, or hair fell out.
Yeah, understandable.
So
well, I thought that
so that's why we get that. Yeah. Well, that helps us,
And then you taking those weapons out of the car. You're calling them weapons, or he called them weapons that day. And to me, I think they're all 6 months or a year been in there.
Right.
I don't even remember the fourth one. I was looking over that list, the description list that he gave me, and I can't even really. He writes kind of fancy a little bit. I can't even really read the whole thing. But he said one of them was some type of a broken kitchen knife or something. Mm-hmm. Now that one I really can't even figure in my own head where it came from or how it got in there, but I know it's been in there since the van was stolen or before, because it sat in Southside for a good while, before they ever let me know.
So what I'll do is I'll be able to get hold of you, and we'll make arrangements for the polygraph.
I don't mind doing that. I don't mind doing anything.
Tomorrow afternoon,
I don't mind doing anything that helps. Okay. Right. But as long as it's remembered, hey, he helped us, let's help him back, because I had something I asked about, and I know for a fact that it was parked when it was stolen, and they broke that door lock. It was parked underneath that camera.
Right. And I'm going to take care of that.
So there's something's
so I apologize
for
that. Well, by the same token, we talked, and you said you would check your stuff, and you didn't get around to it. I didn't get around to this, so I apologize that I didn't get around to it, but I will.
Am I under arrest at this time?
You are still under arrest for the thing, but I'm going to check with the officers.
Because I will gladly go look for. I think somewhere in that van or somewhere in some of that paperwork, there is info from that Tamarack job, because I remember keeping track of the hours, and I remember talking with him about it on the phone.
Okay.
I know for sure he would remember that.
So let me ask you a question. I don't know, what your feeling is on this sort of thing.
Well, I'm a little bit upset.
No, I know that, but so with regards to these murders, we have.
Yeah, you said three. I wasn't aware.
Three, but one's one is two, and I don't know if they're related or anything, but they're unsolved murders, right? So, I have a case where a couple of elderly people are killed. Okay, and I have a case where a woman was killed.
Do anything to warrant.
Yeah, and so, I try to think myself, but I'm a police officer, so I'm kind of like a little jaded with how I look at stuff, So I always ask people, what do you think should happen to somebody who did that?
Oh my God! Well, I don't know any of how it happened or what happened. Did they shoot them or what? I don't know anything. But I would think that if they were church members of our church, they were good people, and so they need to be punished.
I'm going to say something. I'm just going to be straight up honest with you, because I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking.
Well, they did it in there.
I hope you don't take offense by it, but I try to be as honest as I possibly can. Okay?
Sure.
This is what I suspect. Okay, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not.
Okay. I definitely will.
What I suspect.
I got pee anyway again.
Is that we'll take care of it in just a second. So I know you don't have long, but so one thing I suspect, and the jewelry and stuff makes me think this, is that, and also a little bit of your background. I know that's a long time in the past.
Yeah,
okay?
I haven't had any of that background in a while.
People, you know, I know people sometimes go back to their ways, and that is, I suspect that you might be doing some burglaries. Okay, I think you might be doing some, maybe working in people's houses and going in and doing them.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. I'm not in shape for it anymore.
Right.
I don't got the mind for it anymore.
Parlin is as mentally fit as ever, but his physical limitations may be behind the reasoning of a startling turn in the case later in the interview.
Well, how much in shape you got to be to do a burglary?
You pretty much got to be. I don't even know if my ticker would take it.
Right.
You know, because it amps out. Your heart kind of races, and you're in this. You know, from the old days, if I was to explain it, it's like doing a big old bump of meth or something.
Right.
I don't know if I could handle it.
Oh, just the heart rate of being inside.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle it. I wouldn't do good at it if I did it.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't do good at it at all if I was even attempt to do it.
But I know you did a lot of burglaries before you got caught, and that one in '93.
Not necessarily. I kind of just knew the people pretty much.
Right.
And nowadays it's different. It's way different.
So when you knew the people, how did that work out? How did you choose to burglarize a person?
I didn't. I usually didn't. It was usually back then. It was groups. Back then, somebody made the calls. You know, you either chose or not chose. You know, back then. Now I don't know how things happen now.
Right.
And check it out. I came out in '07. And in '07, I decided it was going to be different.
Right.
Okay. And it lasted for a pretty good while.
Right.
You know, it was hard. It was different. The only thing that really even changes me being able to sit with you now and even any kind of a norm of any kind. I don't know if you got people looking or watching or whatever. I am curious about that, you know.
Yes, everything that goes on in this room is
all right.
Audio tape and video tape.
Well, now you tell me, as I had to ask. You should have told me that at the beginning. But anyway, I don't have anything to hide, so it doesn't matter. The set is different. I don't know how things are done now, but they're controlled worse so than they were back then. You know, back then you couldn't do anything without having to, you know, appease somebody's order of some kind. You know, I don't know how things are done now.
And who did you run with back then?
Well, you have to take all the stuff to a hawk. You know, you have to take all the stuff to a what we used to call it back then?
Fence.
A fence. You have to take everything to there. And their order is going to be, I'll give you this much or not, you know. And, you know, it's all controlled. I don't know. I wouldn't know the first of how to get into it nowadays. I wouldn't know even
how to get rid of the stuff.
I wouldn't know the first of anything on how to even delve in there now. I've been out of touch so long. I'm just barely learning a flip cell phone, you know.
Yeah.
I don't even text on it, you know. So I'm old school, so I have nothing to do with the new way of things. I don't even really understand. I never partook long enough to learn. You know? So I would have to relearn because I was gone so long.
After the previous interview, Parlin finally gave the detectives a name: Sean Gant Benacazar, a former coach and chemistry teacher who lived 3 hours away from the victims. During their initial interview at his hotel, Gant Benalcazar was quick to crumble under their questions. Although he would only admit to being part of Kathy Blair's death, he claimed to only have helped to commit the robberies because he was afraid of Parlin. When he left the room to use the restroom, the detectives noticed a chilling detail. One of Kathy Blair's neighbors had come to them with footage from a thermal camera he had been trying out the night of her murder. On it, a person could be seen getting out of a car and walking near her house. The body type and gait matched Gant Benalcazar perfectly.
Right.
I mean,
here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. What we want. So we've gotten to the point right now, based on what you've told us, because as you've seen, regardless of how things ended before, I did listen to what you said. I really wasn't moot, right?
Yeah.
I moved on, and I actually followed up on what you told me, and I found out the truth of the matter. Okay, so I know who committed the murders. That's not an issue for me. Okay, that's not an issue that's in question because that guy's already given it up. He's told me all sorts of details and everything. Okay, and so of course he's also said some stuff about you. With regards to Tim made me do it. That kind of thing and stuff. So. Yeah, so again, same thing. He tells me something, I come back, I follow up on it. That's it. That's what it is. It's just being fair, So that's what we do. And also, if this guy did it, he needs to make sure, he needs to answer for what he did, right? So we need to make sure that is that's taken care of.
Okay.
So we do want to make sure that that we get all of the details out, that I understand the relationship between you guys and all of that, between you and your Gant, Sean Gant.
I wasn't even sure of his name exactly. But.
Right, and all of that. So that's why we're here, because you kind of know it's out there, all the things Had said. So, I think I said this before, the main thing that I'm investigating is murder. Okay,
right.
I found my murderer. I want people to help me strengthen my case against the murderer. Okay, so it's important for me to talk to you because I think you can help me with that. Okay, that's something that you can do. Now,
is it gonna be in my advantage to do it? Is it gonna? I mean, not advantage. That's not the right word. Is it gonna be? You have got my parole officer so scared of me that she wouldn't even come to me the other day. She sent somebody else.
Right.
Okay, and I'm not that kind of a guy.
Sure.
I need to know how do I shake that.
Well, let me tell you. Okay, and here's the thing. So I've heard a lot. So and that's what we're. Kind of got mentioned it on the way, and just. As a matter of course, that this is what happens. We talk to a lot of people.
Right.
We talk to a lot of people in this. Talk to, again, I had before, even more now. So from the last time we talked until right now, I know 1,000 times more than what I knew the last time I talked to you.
Okay.
So
do you think of me like you did before?
I don't. I don't think of you as a killer. That's what I don't.
I
mean. That's not to say you didn't do anything you weren't supposed to, okay? And you already acknowledged that.
Yeah.
There were some things you did wrong. You've done well since you got out of prison. I understand, the situation of, you get stuff. We saw one of the things I just heard about, we searched, of course, your storage room and stuff. That was one of the things we looked at. And someone says they came across some banks trying to collect a lien against you or something like that. So, it's constantly someone's trying, people trying to kind of keep you down. So,
right.
So, and we find this a lot of times with offenders and they get released back out. It's hard for them to really turn their life around because the odds kind of stacked against them.
I can't never seem to get, okay. Right. Now since I saw you last, I've been thinking about that. Did I fully tell you everything that might have helped you? No.
Correct.
Did we get to that point? We were close.
Right.
Okay, well, we got to the point that mattered. And that was when you told me that when that juice was flowing through my veins, regardless of whether I did it or not, you could make it seem as if I did.
Right.
And that was all scientifically based, on science,
right.
little pieces. But I think, humanity came in and told you needed to know more.
Right.
Or you needed more.
Right.
Parlin's motives were hardly altruistic. He originally chose to use Gant Benalcazar for the specific purpose of blaming him for the murders if they were caught.
They put it in the paper that was uncool. Okay, that was very uncool. That's going to be hard to deal with for a long time.
Well, here's the thing. I don't see it as uncool because he already told on himself. It's not like a big deal. You know what I mean? I tell people it's not like you're telling on somebody they've already told on themselves. You know what I mean? And usually when I tell people that, when I go, the guy's already outed himself totally. You're not saving him, you know. So, you know, if it helps you, tell me, you know, everything. It doesn't, you know, there's no point in not saying saying something at that point.
I thought of something that might be, I don't know if y'all know or not, but I thought of something, and you know, it's really weird. It's hard for me. You got to understand, okay, man to man. I mean, just me to you. I don't care about the cameras or whatever. I don't care about none of that. Just man to man. It was hard for me to do that.
Sure.
But you made it. You should get an Academy Award for that because I've been down for a long time. I've done probably 20-something years in prison.
Right.
And the one thing we learn is you do not do that.
Right.
You see, I mean, that is what keeps you alive in there.
Right.
As long as you know I'm telling you the truth.
Well, what you're doing right now is you're giving me facts, and I can check facts. Yeah. So that's good.
Okay. And then I took him from my hotel to where he wanted to go. And don't know why he didn't want to take his car, but that didn't come up. Okay, so I don't know why. I guess maybe being linked to him. I don't know.
Right.
Okay. Don't know of any other involvement. You know, he might have in anything else.
Right.
Okay. I just know that he contacted, and I took him to where he wanted to go. But he called it, when we left, he called it Silver Creek, but that is not where it was that I took him. It's on another street. I don't know the name of the street, but Silver Creek is down here.
So tell me.
The street where I took him is on the next block up.
So let's back up. When you took him over there, okay, what was he wearing?
Let me think. I want to say he had on a black, maybe gray pants with a lot of pockets.
Okay.
You know, like the kind with the pockets not in the right spots, you know, like on the outside.
Right.
And I can't remember exactly. I didn't focus that much on it. What shirt it was, don't remember exactly. It could have been gray or black or dark, green maybe even. Something about that color.
Okay.
Shirt, some type of shirt, dark, and some kind of it was kind of cool at that time. Some kind of a head covering, but I don't remember what exactly.
Remember any details of the head covering? Was it just a stocking cap or a baseball cap?
Kind of sort of, I think I told you already in the interview before, kind of sort of like one of them ones that they wear, like y'all wear when y'all jump in on somebody. If I remember, but it was, if I remember correctly, it was rolled up.
Oh.
So I wouldn't have known.
So like one of the
whenever you roll it down, I wouldn't have known because I never saw it that way.
Okay. But you said it looks like
he
something.
He had it like a sailor cap, you know, just like about like this.
Right.
But it appeared to be had rolled up whenever I saw it.
And so I'm not really clear. So what would it be when it was rolled down?
It wasn't one of those kind, like the wool kind. It wasn't one of those kind. It was like a pantyhose kind.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Different, a little bit different.
Right.
The common ones are the wool kind, you know,
right.
like you wear on a ship or whatever, or when it's cold, you keep your ears warm. Not one of those kind.
Right.
But he didn't have it down, so I couldn't describe what it would look like down because he didn't have it down. He only had it to right here.
Okay. Well, you said it looks like one of those things like...
one of those kind where you can see the face, you know, the face is open, but like maybe would cover to right here.
Oh, so it's like a...
Yeah, like a pull down kind of deal.
Okay. Wow. So it could be a hat, but if it got really cold, you could pull it down over your face.
Yeah, I've seen some people wear helmets before and have those on underneath.
Okay.
Okay, that's the only way I could describe that.
Right.
I didn't see it, so I don't really know. I didn't see it pulled down, so I wouldn't know.
Sure.
And I don't know if it had any markings on it, you know, like a name brand or whatever, or a skull or whatever.
And what kind of shoes was he wearing? If you remember.
Both Parlin and Gant Ben Alcazar admit to being in the car together, so it doesn't hurt for Parlin to give the police these details. Their stories only differ when it comes to who committed the murders, And Gantman Alcazar refuses to admit being at the Sheltons' house at all.
I should remember. We were out in the parking lot. It's been a month now. Okay. Dark shoes, probably.
Okay.
You know, just dark Denny's, some kind of dark shoes.
And what was he carrying when you picked him up? Or what was he carrying when he left?
When we left together?
No, when he dropped him off, what was he carrying?
Whatever he had on him, he had, you know, he didn't expose it, so I wouldn't have known. You know, I didn't like frisk him or nothing nothing.
And what was he carrying when he came back?
Something inside a coat, inside a black coat. I'm trying to think. Let me think. That night, it was real late whenever he called. It was real late. Maybe 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Or 11:30, midnight. But that he called to let me know that he was almost to here.
Right.
You know,
and he was coming in from Galveston.
And yeah, he was coming from Galveston. Then he had somewhere he needed me to take him.
Right.
And that's the part where I'm kind of wondering about that. I've been wishing I'd have never, you know.
So let's fast forward a little bit and talk about some other times when that same sort of thing has happened. You know, so, and in particular, we're looking on the, you know, on the 14th, okay, when he came into town, all right, and that's over on Brentwood. You dropped him off somewhere over there. So tell me about
the 14th.
It was the 14th or the 15th, somewhere in that time frame. Tell me about that.
I'm not remembering much about that. I've been thinking about this lady that you've been.
Well, he remembers a lot about that. Okay, so
I don't remember much about that. You got to.
So you're gonna have to help. You're gonna have to help me out with that. Okay, so it was. So the next time he's in town, right, is after this incident.
I don't remember how.
You guys went somewhere. How did that happen? You went somewhere.
Don't remember that very well.
Well, because there's going to be a problem if you don't remember much, because it's pretty. Like I said, the facts are pretty easy to prove. You know,
well,
especially in this case. You know,
if it happened, it happened.
Right. We know where people are at and what was going on. We need to know what did he say. I mean, he didn't. I'm assuming he didn't say, "I'm gonna go kill some people. Let's go do that." Right?
No. Well, yeah,
right.
I wouldn't have got down with that.
It was never fully determined whether or not Parlin went into the homes with the intent to kill. It didn't fit with his known pattern of behavior. Yet the lack of evidence left behind at the spur-of-the-moment murder would have been almost impossible to pull off. The odds are even more staggering when the same crime happens several days later with the same results.
Right. So what did he say?
It would have probably, I'm trying to remember, but I'm probably guessing he would have called first. That's for sure.
The house I'm talking about is the Sheltons' house. Okay. The night that they got killed. All right. Tell me about that. Because you know who the Sheltons are.
Well,
You've been to their house before. Yes, you have. We talked to your brother. You've been to the house before.
I've been to the house before?
Yes. We have a statement from your brother.
What was my reason for going there?
You painted. So.
I'm trying to think about.
So when, you know, I mean, it's not like a question of whether you're there and stuff, okay? It's, you know, the question is why, what happened, what brought you there, what did he tell you, how did you, you know, how did you come to be there, and what did you do? That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I need to hear that from you. I need to hear that from you. What you did and didn't do, because that's a fact I can check.
I picked him up on. I dropped him off on. I picked him up, dropped him off, and picked him up on. Dropped him off on one street and picked him up on another.
Okay,
I dropped
what
him
street?
off on. It ain't Pegram. It's Brentwood runs this way.
Okay.
The street where I dropped him off comes this way. Brentwood School is right here.
Right.
So it'd be this street.
So maybe we can get a map for that. Keep describing, but we'll get a map so you
I
can.
dropped him off somewhere right in here, right up. This is Brentwood Street.
Okay.
I dropped him off somewhere right here, and he wanted me to pick him up on Arroyo Seca.
Okay.
Arroyo Seca. Picked him up on Karen in Arroyo Seca.
Okay. So, and what was he carrying when he came out?
Let me think. A pillowcase. I think he was carrying a pillowcase. I'm not. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was a pillowcase or some kind of a white cloth bag. And
Parlin and Gant Benalcazar should have paid more attention to the bag during the murders. Blood from the bag was transferred to the car, which the detectives used to link them to the crime.
Trying to think of what he had in his hands. He had something in his hands. I'm not positive, but it could have been a hat and gloves that he had in his hands.
Okay.
When he got in the car. When I dropped him off, he had those items on. When I picked him up, he had those items off.
Okay.
That, I'm pretty sure.
What kind of gloves did he have?
Kind of like you buy at AutoZone or somewhere.
Okay.
Kind of, sort of like that. They're a lot of mechanics use them.
Right.
Those kind of gloves.
Okay.
Well, one of them, I'll tell you the truth. One of them is I don't know which one it was though, but one of them he communicated with me by phone. Pick me up.
Which one was that?
Pick me up. Pick me up at the creek. Pick me up at the creek. Arroyo Seca. Pick me up at the creek.
Okay.
Pick me up at the creek. That sure was. That was what he picked me up. Pick me up at the creek.
So tell me everything that he told you about what had happened on Brentwood.
Oh, the only thing I already told you. Mm-hmm. The only thing I remember him saying is something about putting a knife in somebody's face.
That would have been Billie Shelton, who was stabbed in the eye.
And was he more specific about?
Something about he still heard noise and then he kicked them.
Okay.
After that. After putting a knife in their face. Now, the how, I don't know. You know, he's talking like a thread or what, you know, I don't know. I'm hearing this from not being in the scene or on the scene.
Yeah.
Put the knife in their face. I had to put a knife in their face. And he went to leave and heard noise or something and came back and kicked them.
Both of them?
That's what he just said, kicked them.
Kicked them.
You know, went back and kicked him with the boot, like the boot of his. He made a gesture like he used
like show me.
Like he used the boot of his foot on the bottom of the heel of his foot. You know, kicked him after putting a knife in their face, something like that.
Right.
That you know, I wouldn't know anymore. You know about any.
So this is real important. Okay, on the Brentwood thing, is. Of course, you know we have your DNA, we have fingerprints, obviously.
Oh, yeah, I've surrendered all that.
But
gladly.
Yes. But I just want to make sure
Yeah, I gladly gave you that.
That there would be no reason that we would find any of that stuff inside.
Yeah, never,
Okay.
never, 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 never,
All right.
never, never, never.
And not
never,
that we
never,
like triangulate your phone to really great detail
Yeah,
and you get it
never.
within a few feet. We're not
Never.
going to see you inside the house.
Never, 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 never left the car, sir.
Okay.
Never.
I'm gonna get a map to here. You want another cigarette?
Yeah.
I'll get you a cigarette. I'll get some stuff. One of the things I want to do is a map. And
Can I pee?
yes, you want to do that right now?
Yeah, because it's starting to get there. It's getting late at night. I can tell.
Tim Parlin was found guilty of murder for the deaths of Kathy Blair, Sidney Shelton, and Billie Shelton. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Sean Gant Benalcazar's first trial resulted in a mistrial. He was found guilty of murder in his retrial and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Both men continue to blame the other for the murders.